So it says to simplify these problems, so I'm trying to combine like terms. This is an x cubed, this is an x to the fourth. Those are not the same things. I cannot add them together. It's not like I have one of one thing and add it to one of another. You can't do that. You don't say I have one apple plus one orange gives me two orange or apple, you know. You don't put them together. You just leave them separate. So that's number one. It's kind of a trick question. That is the solution. You can't do anything to it. On number two, it says we have one of these plus one more plus three more, and then we're going to take four of them away. So 1 plus 1 is 2 plus 3 is 5 minus 4 is just one of them left. Notice how they're all the same thing, so I could add them together. Number 3, similar idea. It says I have 3 of these x to the 7th. I'm going to take 5 of those away, and then I'm going to add 4 more on. So 3 minus 5 is negative 2. Add 4 to it is 2x to the 7th. Number 4 is a multiply between two bases that are the same. And so when we multiply and the bases are the same, we add the exponents. So 3 plus 4 is 7. Question 5 is a divide. When the bases are the same and we divide, we subtract the exponents. So it's 11 minus 6, which is 5. So this is x to the 5th. Because really what's happening, 6 of these from the bottom are canceling out 6 of those from the top. So that's why we subtract 6 off, because they cancel them off, and it only leaves us with 5 of them. So on this one we're multiplying, but we have numbers mixed in here. We have a coefficient and a variable. So we're going to multiply these numbers together. So we're going to go 7 times 5 times 3. So 7 times 5 is 35, times 3 is 105. So that takes care of the numeric value in front. We call it a scalar. It just makes it bigger or smaller. And then we're going to work with our variables, x squared, x cubed, and x. So x squared and x cubed makes x to the 5th, plus one more makes x to the 6th. So remember, you add the exponents when you multiply. So you multiply the numbers in front, but you add the exponents. On number 7, I see that each of these are divisible by 5, so I divide them each by 5. I get 5 halves. 3 of these x's from the bottom will cancel 3 of these from the top, so 7 minus 3 is 4. So there are 4 x's left on the top. On number 8, we have a power to a power. We have this parenthesis that has a power with it. So this 4 is really going to both of them. So this is really 3 to the 4th. So if I go to my calculator and I type in 3 to the 4th, and I hit enter, it says 81. So that's really 81. So that's the 3 to the 4th. X squared to the 4th, so you multiply these ones. 4 times 2 is 8. That's the only time you multiply powers, is when it's a power to a power. Okay? We still have the x to the 5th hanging on out there. On this one we have 2 to the 3rd, which is 2 times 2 times 2. So 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 more is 8. X to the 3rd. So this 3 on the bottom is going to cancel off 3 on top. So if I take 3 away from 8, that leaves 5. So what I end up with is 81. X to the 5th makes x to the 10th. That's an 81. I said 81 and wrote 80. Over 8. And that's my answer. Since 3 and 2 are simplified, I know that when I multiply them out, they're going to be simplified as well. So number 9. I'm going to show you 2 different ways to do this. So this is 5 cubed, which means I have 5 times 5 times 5 times 5, and x to the cubed. Because there's a 5 on the top and 1 on the bottom, so there's 1 here and 3 here, so that can cancel that out and leave me with 2 of them. 3 and 9 are each divisible by 3, so I can cancel that. That's 3 and that's 1. That's a 1 there. 2 and 4 are each divisible by 2, so 2 divided by 2 is 1, 4 divided by 2 is 2. So now I look, here are x cubed. So 3 of those x's will take away 3 of those. So 4 minus 3 leaves me with 1x. And now this 1x and this 1x will go away. So looking left, what's on top? I have 1 times 3, which is 3. And there's an x squared left. On the bottom, I have 1 times 5 times 2, which is 10. And that's my answer. The other way is to take this and say 5 cubed x cubed. Well, 5 cubed is 5 to the third power, which is 125. So this is really 125x cubed. So I'm going to multiply these just straight across. 5 times 2 is 10, times 9 makes 90. X squared next to the fourth makes x to the sixth. Down on the bottom, I have 3 times 4, which is 12, times 125. So I have 125 times 12, 1,500. So this is 1,500. X cubed and x makes x to the fourth. So 1 plus 5 is 6, so I know this is divisible by 3, and these each end in 0, so I know I can divide them by 10. So I'm going to divide them by 30. Or I'm going to come to my calculator, and I'm going to say 90 divided by 1,500, math, enter, enter. It tells me that it is 3/50. Oh, on the bottom one up here, 5 squared is 25. So I messed up. 25 times 2 is 50. So on the calculator, it said it was 3/50. 4 of these x's will take away 4 of those and leaves me with x squared. So different ways to do them. Okay, number 10. Anything to the 0 power is 1. So this 0 power is only with the x. This is really 3 to the 1 power still. So this x to the 0 just turns into 1. So 3 to the 1 power times 1 is just 3. A negative exponent moves it from the top to the bottom. So this x to the negative 3 was on top, so it moves it to the bottom, so that's 1 over x to the third. X to the negative fourth moves it from the bottom to the top. So this one goes up, so it's just 2x to the fourth. You could put over 1 if you'd like. Anything to the 0 power. So all of this is to the 0 power. It all just goes to 1. On number 14, a negative exponent. Anything with a negative exponent moves places. So this comes down and loses the sign. Y to the negative 7th goes up and loses the negative. So now really what I have is y squared y 7th, which makes y to the 9th, over x cubed x to the 4th, which makes x to the 7th. So on number 15, a negative exponent, remember it flips things upside down, so this flips the 3 and the 2 upside down. So that gets rid of the negative, and it's still squared. So 3 times 3 is 9. That's what the squared means, is that there's 2 of them. So 2 times 2 is 4, and that's my answer. So number 16, we have a power to a power. You just multiply those, so that's x to the 6th. 3 times 2 is 6. On 17, you have a negative exponent with x to the negative 4th. It moves it down. Y to the negative 3 moves it up. So it's 2y to the 3rd over 8x, x to the 4th. So the 2 and the 8 are each divisible by 2. So that becomes 1/4. And there's no more y's on the bottom. It's all x's. So it's 1/4 y cubed x to the 5th. So number 18, that has a lot going on with it. So I'm going to start working with the stuff on the inside of the parentheses. So I'm going to move this x to the negative 3 up. So really what I have is 3x squared x cubed all over 2. I still have to the negative 4th. So this x squared and x cubed become 3x to the 5th over 2. And I still have the negative 4. So this negative 4 is now going to flip it upside down. So it's 2 over 3x to the 5th to the 4th now. So the negative just made it swap locations. So now I have 2 to the 4th, which means I have 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 more is 8, times 2 more is 16. So I could come to my calculator and go 2 to the 4th is 16, and 3 to the 4th, which is 81. So I know that 3 to the 4th, when I look at 3 to the 4th, that's 81 on the bottom. So that's the 4th goes to the 2, the 4th goes to the 3, and the 4th power goes to x to the 5th. So I'm going to multiply that power by the power. So 4 times 5 is 20. And that's my answer for number 18. Okay, number 19 is fairly crazy. There's tons of stuff going on. So I'm going to just start working with this. I'm going to move this one to the bottom, and I'm going to move this to the top. So I have 5a cubed b to the 1, 3a squared b to the 2nd. Now I'm going to start simplifying. A cubed and a second. There's 2 of these. Take away 2 of those. It just leaves me with a. This b1 takes away 1 of those and just leaves me with b. So what I have is 5a 3b all to the negative 2. So this negative exponent is going to flip it upside down. So I have 3b over 5a all to the 2nd power. So 3 squared is 9. B squared is b squared. 5 squared on the bottom is 25. And a squared is a squared. So I took this 2 to everything. So everything got squared. So that's the first one. So now I'm going to work with this second one. B to the negative 5, it just comes up here as b to the 5th, and it's no longer on the bottom. So now I can simplify things. 2 divided by 10. Each of those are divisible by 2, so it will reduce to become 1/5. There are 7 a's on the bottom, 2 on the top, so 7 minus 2 is 5 a's left on the bottom. And on the top, we just have b to the 9th, because there were 4 b's, and then 5 more makes 9 b's. It's all squared, so 1 squared is 1. b 9th squared makes b to the 18th. 5 squared is 25. a5 squared makes a to the 10th. So now that I've got it to there, I can multiply straight across. So b squared and b18 make b to the 20th. 9 is still there. 25 times 25. 25 times 25 is 625. A squared and a10 make a to the 12th. So that's a big problem, fairly complicated. Number 20 isn't much better. So let's go ahead and start moving the negative exponents in this first one. So that's 3y to the 5th, because this x to the negative 4th goes down. So that's x to the 4th now. On the second one, I have 2x squared 5, but y to the negative 3, it goes down. Now we have this mess. X to the negative 2 comes down, so that's x squared, and it's no longer up here. So I have 3y cubed, 10, there's x squared, and x cubed makes x to the 5th, and then y squared. So this y squared and y cubed, these two will take away 2 of those and leave me with y. So I have 3y 10x to the 5th. That's still all cubed. So 3 cubed is 3 times 3 is 9, times 3 more is 27. Y cubed. On the bottom, 10 times 10 is 100, times 10 more is 1,000. X to the 15th. So now I'm ready just to multiply things straight across. 3 times 2 times 27. So 3 times 2 times 27. 162. So 162, y5 and y cubed make y to the 8th. X squared. So that's the top. On the bottom, I have 5 times 1,000, which is 5,000. X4, X15 make x to the 19th, and y cubed. So 162 divided by 5,000. math, enter, enter, 81, 2500. So this is 81 over 2500. 3 y's on the bottom, 8 on the top. So these 3 will cancel off 3 of the 8 and leave us with 5. So that's y to the 5th. X19, x squared, 2 of those will cancel off 2 of those and leave us with x to the 17th on the bottom. So that's your answer for number 20.